foreigners, what's the difference between foreigners taking Vedanta or Hinduism and Indians? How did Gurudev, if he saw a difference, what was the difference? And Gurudev said something very interesting. He said, foreigners understand it more, but Indians follow it more. That's it. So after that, that was a really good time with him. We had some interaction and all. And I must say, we were in Delhi for 5 years. And my greatest regret is that he must have passed, Gurudev must have passed so many times through Delhi. And we did not make the effort to meet him that many times. We just went a few times. And that's such a great regret that we could have gone every time and met him. And then it was 1993, I think Gurudev was passing through. And Sarupananji suddenly said, you know, Gurudev is in Delhi. Aren't you going to meet him? I said, yes, should go. So we went. He was just about to leave, I remember. He got into the car, sat down. Now, I sort of stood at the back, and everyone was busy doing pranams and all that. I was at the back there, and then he glanced at me. He looked at me. I can never forget that glance. It's etched right here. And at that time, I didn't realize the importance of that glance. But you know, in Vivek Chudamani, Adi Shankara says that even the side glance of a master has infinite blessings. And those are the blessings that we see every day. As Jujar mentioned, I have been the editor of Tapovan Prasad, Gurudev's magazine, for the last 6 years. And that's amazing how it happened. In my wildest dreams, I could never imagine I would be an editor. I'm not an English student or anything like that. I'm a science graduate. But it just happened. Puj Guruji was here and we were having an informal satsang upstairs. And he said, well, you know, Tapovan Prasad, the editor, Parvati Raman, she wants to leave. She has problems. And he looked at me. And if Guruji says something, you know, you sort of do it. And he gives the ability also. So it's just so beautiful. It's an experience. I enjoy it so much. It's been such a love. It is still a great learning experience. And it goes on and on like that. And that's what we would say, I would say was a miracle that happened. Now, as we know, Gurudev did not like the word miracle. He actually, and there were miracles all around him all the time. And they are still happening today. But he would discourage people from talking about them or saying anything because he wanted everyone to focus on the teaching. But they happen, and so many people will tell you how they talk to him and things get resolved. And I know my personal experience, whenever there is some problem with Tapovan Prasad, I approach him and say, see, it's your magazine. Please help. And help always comes. But the truth is that the greatest miracle that Gurudev did, those miracles of his are at a very deep level, at a very subtle, profound level. And those miracles lead one to an inner transformation. And for that, we are eternally grateful to Puj Gurudev.
Kumkumji, I'm listening to you. You are so articulate, and you were mentioning earlier how your husband asked actually a very good question to Gurudev, and he gave a very interesting answer as well. Just wondering, through your interactions with Gurudev, what are the questions that you asked of him?
Actually, I didn't ask any questions. I'm not person who keeps asking questions. I didn't have questions at that time. Much later, when Sarupananji Kesaram Brahmachari, we sort of inundated him with questions. But I didn't have that sort of interaction with Gurudev.
You're saying you had a lot of questions, but you didn't ask Gurudev. You asked Swami Swarupanandaji. Is that because in some way you maybe found Gurudev a little bit, I don't want to use the word intimidating because he was very loving, but of course he was very majestic, and there was, I mean, it wasn't necessarily easy to just ask him, even though I suppose if one had done that, it would have been the easiest thing. But was that in your mind?
I don't think so, but there was an awe. I mean, it was Gurudev. And Gurudev could just pull you up like anything. I remember there was and people would be, if they were there, it was a talk somewhere in Delhi. And Gurudev had come and they lit the lamp with a matchstick. And he blew up the whole organizers. He said, "You light a cigarette with a matchstick. You don't like a diya like this." It was just, we were all sort of stunned. So, Gurudev, no, I didn't.
All right. Just very briefly, because you've given us glimpses of how he impacted your life, but can I ask you the extent to which he's impacted your life? How would you summarize that?
All I can say is that if he was not in my life, life would have been totally meaningless. It's just that. I feel so privileged, so blessed that we had this opportunity, we have it, and Gurudev is there. I mean, otherwise, I don't know what would I have done. It's made all the difference. It's made all the difference.
Kumkumji has also selected a video of Gurudev. It's just a 3-minute clip. So we're going to play that now before we move on to the next speaker. So let's play video number 1, where Gurudev is talking about why and how, each of us, wherever we are in our lives, why we're there. So the answer is in this video.
Why are you a human being? Why are you not a cow or a dog or a cat? It's not accidental. You have taken this particular form because this is the type of asanas that you have thought to exhaust with. This kind of a body is necessary, unavoidable. Why are you very sentimental? It is necessary, such a mind, to exhaust your vasana. Why is it you are dull and a fool? It is necessary. If I am so dull, why am I not an animal? No, animal dull cannot have your experience. You must have a body of the human being and a dull. What to do? The BMI are ordered by, controlled by, governed by, determined by the vasana. Not only your equipments are ordered by your own vasanas, but why am I, my situation in the world outside? My environment in the outside is so unconducive. I don't like it. But you cannot. Why? Your vasanas decided the type of environment in which you must live. See, the wise man, having understood it, is understood that if I am suffering, it is necessary. If I am happy, it is necessary. But I will not get involved in it. It is the exhaustion of vasanas for which I have taken up this physical body and it is going. If I am physically ill, even though I have got 14 bedroom, wonderful palace, marbled palace, home, I will not be allowed to stay at home. They will carry me to the nearest hospital, isn't it? Why am I in the hospital? Because of the condition of your physical body. Once the body has exhausted itself and the sickness is gone, you have regained your health, you will go back home. The environment around you will be determined by you. Generally, people say that. Swamiji, it is all a question of environment. My situation in life is very unconducive. No, unconducive situation came to you because you deserve. This meaningless to say that, Swamiji, what to do? Every evening, drunkards come around me and therefore I drink. Drunkards cannot come around me unless I am a drunkard. If I change, these drunkards who are coming to me will go away. and the decent people will start coming around you in short time. It is not a blind destiny, a Lord sitting above the clouds, ordering your share of joys and sorrows in the world outside. He will not give me a sorrow, one jot of sorrow more than that is necessary. He is not only exposing me to the sorrows, but he is the one who is protecting me from behind. Thus, the devotee, son, he never gets involved as a stupid ego, saying that I am the one who is the doer.
Rajni Mehtani, are you ready? Your tissue is out. She said earlier that when I speak about Gurudev, there's a risk I might start crying. So, it's interesting. She actually met Gurudev for the first time 7 weeks before Gurudev's Mahasamadhi. It was in London. Oh, that was the last time you met him. When was the first time you met him?
Little.
Oh, when you were...
When I was little, yeah.
Okay, let me just, for the benefit of people here who don't know you, just tell them that we'll talk about, how you met Gurudev and then, but she's been in London, now she's in Delhi, London and Delhi. She served Chinmaya Mission UK in the executive committee there for many years. Swami Swarupanandaji has stayed and graced their homes in London and Delhi several times as well. So let me begin by asking you then, so how did you meet Gurudev? I believe your mother used to drag you to many gurus and swamis when you were little, and I presume Gurudev was one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, thank you for having me, Swamiji. We're all here because of the divine grace of this majestic master. So, when I was small, my mother used to, I've written down points, so I have to sort of. My earliest memories of this divine sage was in my early teens, where my mother would like to drag me to meet all these spiritual masters and teachers so she could change my wavered waves of rebellion and anger. And she always worried about me. How is she going to change? And there were many times that I had met Gurudev because my mother was very close to Laju Chenrai's mother. I think many people know them. She used to host Gurudev, and my mother used to take me there. So, when I was small, not very small, but in my teens, I had seen him many times. But I was still very rebellious about this, resisted going to all these satsangs and all that. I was young.
Were you even listening to them, paying attention?
Yeah, I mean, my mind would be wavering everywhere.
Or you were there for the sweets and toffees?
Just to please my mother. I loved her so much. So it was in 1980 that my mother passed away. She was very young then. And I think that really affected me a lot because I really felt like a lost child. She had so much influence we have 5 siblings, and she had a lot of influence on all the 5 of us because she used to read to us from the Bhagavad Gita, all these holy scriptures. We used to love the stories behind it, but so what happened was that I started to look for answers, searching, but went to a lot of other satsangs and read a lot of books, but nothing was falling into place for me. So it was in 1987 that Gurudev he went to Singapore the first time, and my sister Nirmal hosted him, and when he got
He
there,
stayed with them.
yeah, he's used to stay with them, and she completely surrendered to him that year. He went the first time that she was there. She was more inclined to all these spiritual ways more than I was. So, and she completely immersed herself into the study of the Gita and all that. And she used to talk about him a lot, and also Swami Swarupananda. He was brahmachari, Sushilji, yeah. And so she used to nudge me into getting into this spiritual path. But I met Swamiji, I met Gurudev a couple of times more at thread ceremonies for children and stuff like that. But it was in I think it was in 1989. I was in Nigeria and I was visiting. We had a home there also. So I went for a bhiksha. So Gurudev was sitting on the dining table on one end. This is where I get emotional. So, Kavita Chandrai, she is Laju's wife. She held my hand and she came up to Gurudev and she said, "Meet Rajni. Do you know who she is?" And he just looked at me. He was, having his fruit, and she is Nirmal, my sister from Singapore. Her sister. And he literally put the fruit down or whatever he was eating. He took my hand like this and he put it to his heart and said, "Then you're mine, then you're mine." And it was like, oh gosh. But this Swamiji we call Mooder, no? Didn't really understand all this so quickly. So, anyway, he came. I had a bhiksha for him, and after a few days over there in Nigeria, and he came to the house, and I had the privilege of washing his feet and doing the Paduka Puja, and it was a beautiful experience, I have to say. And then when he got up to leave and he went through the door and I sort of started running after him looking for some message or something, and he was really straight, very majestic, the way he walked with his wooden padukas. And I just went after him like wanting a message or something, and he turned around and he said, "Read the Gita, read the Gita." And he walked away. But it was like, when I think about it now, I sort of get goose flesh that I met him so many times, but I was not like, it didn't have that impact on me till much later.
When did it have an impact on you?
So it was in 1993. Just before he had come to London, and
June 1993.
93, yeah, May. It was in May. So he had come there with Swami Swarupananda. So my sister called me up from Singapore and she said, "You're in London, you haven't gone to meet my gurus, and what are you doing?" And sort of. So I went one evening to meet Swami Swarupananda and Gurudev, and they were both near the lift after the lecture, evening lecture. So as I was approaching, Swami Swarupananda was talking to someone, and he stopped speaking and he said, "You, where have you been? I've been looking for you everywhere." And that was another, the thing going down my spine. Like, I just stood there so still. I went up to him, did my pranams to Swamiji and Gurudev, and then promised Swamiji that I will come for lectures now. And it was the following morning, I went for the morning talk, and I felt that all the puzzle pieces were falling into place for me. I just found a bit of myself there, and I realized that this is the path for me.
Can I
So
just ask you, so when you look back at the time, what do you think is it appears that perhaps you went through a few years of trying to figure out what you wanted. So what exactly were you looking for? What was that puzzle that kind of
yeah,
started falling into place that time?
I was like sitting on the fence, Shall I follow it all the way? Or, like the video that we're going to see, it was exactly what I was feeling. Shall I not? Or I'm busy here and I don't have time for this. So it was like that all the time for me. I was not making a firm choice to stay there, but this 93, the talk that I heard, I don't remember now what it was. It just got me going from then on. Like, my spiritual path really started then. There were a lot of challenges and resistance from me and family and all that, but I just went along. And the thing I suppose I was looking for was some sort of a peace of mind, because my mind was always here and there, very distracted. So then slowly I had to learn and teach myself. And of course, with the grace of Swami Swarupananda, learned a lot. He, I had a lot of anger in me since childhood. So that kept on, had to sublimate that. So
It's better now.
sometimes.
What does Gurudev mean for you now?
For me, he's like, I would say, an anchor. And I totally feel anchored in him now, because I actually truly surrendered. And I feel that once you walk the path of truth, miracles happen, like you said. And that's what started happening to me. So I would say
One
that.
quick example.
Sorry?
One quick example.
About miracles?
Something special. As Kumkumji was saying, Gurudev would probably not have liked using, the word miracle, but something special that happened to you or you felt.
I kept on. There were a lot of things that were falling into place for me, With children, I was having, how children, you have their teen problems and stuff. So I would say, I don't know, I just felt my life became a miracle. Like, things started working out for me. And I just feel we should all be anchored in His divine grace, so we can become like gems who adorn Him always. So that's my.
You were mentioning a couple of minutes ago that we're going to see a video, which of course you selected. So before we play that video, you mentioned that it actually describes what you were feeling, through many of the years that you met Gurudev. So why don't you introduce this yourself? What Gurudev's going to say over here. How do you relate to it?
Because to make choices, I was not making the right choice then. I was like swaying from one side to the other, not on firm ground.
Yeah.
And how, then he talks about it, how you
And it's
should.
typical of Gurudev that even if it's something serious like that, but the way he puts it is always just so funny and so light, as we're going to see now. So let's play that video number 2 now.
These two paths, the Shreya and Preya. Shreya, the path of the good, the noble path, and Preya, the pleasant path. Both of them are presenting themselves at every moment. Just now, meditation is over. The meditation class itself, sleep has concluded. And when you went to the room, the next item of the program, Swami is taking where? Let me rest a little. You lay down on the bed. Now, the good, they get up on the bed and come to the class. Good. Pleasant. Very pleasant, honestly. These two paths are constantly open to you. It is you who have to choose, judge. But the average man, carried away by the sensuous pleasures and the desires in him, he always chooses the path of the pleasure. But one who has quietened the mind and is intelligent, discriminative, such people follows the path of the good, uncompromisingly the path of the good. Freedom of choice. They are not destined to be bad or good. There will be, because of the past habits, vasanas, you will be having a tendency towards it. But even though you have got a tendency, the Lord has also given you the strength to say no to yourself and live up to the convictions and the higher values. One who has taken the responsibility of his own life, who is trying to live as an intelligent and discriminative person, not sinking into the level of the mind and according to the instincts and impulses living. That is the privilege of an animal and not the dignity of a human being. Sweets coming in front of me. My higher intelligence says, don't touch it, your sugar is high. Doctor is not looking. Then they come out and say, 2%, 4%. You suffer. When you suffer, oh God, why are you giving me the suffering? When I am doing your work, why not you protect me? Why? I followed the path of the pleasant. I suffer. Even the sweet comes, the devotee is giving it is right. But you are right. Not feeling all right today. Remove it. But then, pleasant. You understand? I am giving you the example, not that I am doing it, but you will understand. That's what every moment, every one of us do. Everywhere it's like that. Manda Buddhi, who have not got a strong intellectually not developed well, then like an animal, the temptation of the moment lives. But an animal, when it is doing wrong thing, it is excused because it has no intelligence. But the intelligent man doing it. Yoga to acquire, Kshema to preserve. For Yoga Kshema to acquire and gain a happiness from the outer world. That is all the goal that he knows. And therefore he indulges himself in the passing temptations of life.
Rajniji, you were modest enough to say that, this was your problem for many years. But frankly, isn't this the problem for all of us all the time, right? The choices, as Gurudev himself said, every moment is presenting itself to us, each one of us.
Yeah, I suppose it is, but I'm very self-critical, so I'm always checking myself.
Yeah, but that's wonderful.
And that's what I've been taught. And I felt like Gurudev in that 93, he literally, passed me on into the loving arms of Swami Swarupananda. I feel very, very privileged and very blessed.
Big hand for Rajni Mehta. All right, thank you. And let's move on to Vishwanath Ramdas now, sitting here on our left. As a young person, he lived and studied in Roorkela Steel City. He joined the Chinmaya Yuva Kendra, the youth wing of Chinmaya Mission, at the age of 18. He then came to Delhi and Noida for work in the 1990s. He then went to the United States for work as well. He was actively involved in mission activities and study groups over there as well. Now he's back here for many years and is a part of this institution, the Chinmaya Center of World Understanding. You know, Gurudev always had a special place for the youth. You went university when you first heard him. Tell us about that.
This all happened in year 1987, I guess. I saw a very huge banner for Gurudev's Yagna. So I didn't have any clue, never have heard him before. My dad said, just go listen to him. But my dad never came. He sent me. And I went along with one of my friend there, and we attended the complete Yagna. My friend came the first day, but somehow he was put off. So I only went all the second day onwards for all the 6, 7 days. So that was a turning point for me, and it made me join the check. And once I joined the check, there was no looking back. A lot of activities, a lot of I was participating in many yagnas, local yagnas, I would say. I was doing a lot of school, college competitions. I was organizing that. So that was all what I really, it happened. But then in 1990, that was where I really looked at Gurudev, because the itinerary was all set for his visit again to Rourkela. And when he came in there, we all thought of how we can bring him to the place. So we were all youngsters, we all had our two-wheelers with us, and we wanted to come bring him in a cavalcade of scooters, and he was. But that yagna there was a learning point for me in many, many ways. Those days, there was no domestic airport in Rourkela. So he would come to Calcutta, and from Calcutta, he would come by train. Imagine this. He came to the station, the train came in platform number 2. And when it came to platform number 2, he just got out of the bogie, but we could not make him climb the staircase. He said, if you want me to see climb up, you will never see me come back to Rourkela again. That was what he said. Then we all youngsters, we also had the president, secretary of the Chinmaya Mission there. We all went and approached the railway station master. We also approached the guard. And this is how the master really works. For him, there's no matter. Everything worked out so beautifully that after our talking, the entire train, after dropping all the passengers, it went back, came to the first platform, he alighted there. That learning was, how could he do it? See, we all went and approached the station master. He said, no, we cannot do that. It's obviously, a station is always filled with trains coming and going out. Passengers are there. But that train went back all the way, changed the signal. The signal was given for the new line, and it came to platform number 1. He alighted there, and then we took him into the car in which he was traveling, and then again with all the jhandas, with Hari Om written on it, Om written on it, we brought him to the place where he came.
What fun.
It was really fun. And that was, in that yagna, he had 2 texts that he was taking. One was chapter 7 Bhagavad Gita, and the other was Aparokshanubhuti, the morning session. I will come back to chapter 7 later. On the first day, he said, all of you guys are going to be listening to this yagna. I want you all to make notes, or whatever you listen, make notes without copying from the book. What you have listened, give your interpretations. Everyone went back home, all the 7 days went by. And on the last day, I started writing all the notes because I was very closely staying with him all those 7 days when he was there. So from the morning till the evening, and then evening to the night, I was there with him. My parents allowed me, and I stayed with him. It was a big blessing. I was seeing him every movement that he was there. And on the last day, when we all submitted our notes and everything, I was called into the stage and I was offered the first prize. And he had given a 100 rupee note in an envelope signed with a signature. And maybe due to my ignorance or whatever it is, that time there was a school coming up there, Chinmaya Vidyalay, the English medium school. So I asked him, Swamiji, can I offer this money to the school that you are making? Go back! I am there to give to the school. Give it to your dad. He will do the needful. That's the way he said. But then I understood he's God and I am just a small. So it was a good example for me to learn. And then during those 7 days, he inaugurated the Chinmaya Vidyalaya there. There was again a lot of learning things for me. You know, the moment he has a very majestic way of walking, all of us accept it. He took his stick and started walking in. He could see that many parents, many children have all come. Immediately blew up there. Are you running a school? Don't you see how you guys are I mean, I'm just adding in some words, it's not his words. The crux of the matter is he wanted us that we should have the discipline of keeping all the footwears in line. He said, if you don't keep the footwears in line, where can Narayan come? Lakshmi can only come when Narayan is there. So lay out all the footwears properly in a straight line. Everyone rushed, parents to the children, and all of them organized footwear the straight line. Then the Bhumi Pujan happened, and after that, he went to the dining table to have his lunch. There were sevikas trying to give him food and everything. And at that point of time, there was a lady who came in and gave him some medicines. This was again a learning point for me. Many of us have seen him. He was about to have his lunch. He was being given out. And at that time, he took that box of medicine. And normally, he was a diabetic patient. So he had the insulin injection. And with nobody watching him, he was just watching it like that. And then he took an injection. He just punched it on his thigh. You know, that made me feel, oh my God, how much of pain he has to go through every time he has to have his food. He has to take that insulin injection. And then I realized why he told on the first day that he cannot climb up the staircase in the railway station. Because if he climbs, I'm not going to come anymore. That's also one of the point, because when he keeps injecting, this thigh is going to go weak. And obviously, all of us need these thighs to walk up, down, wherever it is. That was again a very learning point for me. So all these instances at that point of time made me feel I am learning something. And being a Czech, organizing so many good events there, I felt it's a blessing for me.
That was the first yagna, Gurudev,
No,
that
that
you
was
heard.
the second yagna. The first yagna, I got introduced to Czech. And the second yagna was all this happenings.
You were also fortunate enough then eventually over the years to receive several letters of guidance from Gurudev himself.
Yes. I don't know. I used to have a one-on-one. I used to write to him, be it spiritual, be it political. I used to write to him and he would reply back. I would anxiously wait for all his letters, whether it is Kenya, the envelope would be from Kenya, maybe from Bangalore. All those letters, he would send it to me. And I would happily treasure them and I would write back to him. And then there was one letter where I asked him, can I come join the CCMT? He asked me, what are you doing? I had written to him that I'm doing my information technology there. he wrote to me back, come serve CCMT once you are done with the course. Now don't plunge in and study. And probably today, because of Swamiji, Mr. Dheer, and Premaji, I am here at CCW working for Gurudev's vision and mission.
And you're actually meeting him in his books now.
Yes.
And that line I've used is important, right?
Yes.
Because he said something like that to you, or wrote
Yes.
something like that to you.
Right.
What happened?
No, he didn't write to me back, but he did say to me, whenever you have any issues, read in my books. And my wife and me, both of us read the Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads and all those things. So both of us have felt a strong relationship with him, even though he's not there physically. I've been able to connect with him. It seems as if, he's standing in front of me, guiding me when I'm reading something. He will pinpoint me to the right page where I want some information. So that's where when he said, meet me in my books, so that used to really click me.
You were influenced by Gurudev and you turned toward that path when you were in university. You've been describing that. You were young, you were a youth.
Yes.
But there are, of course, many youth, I mean, this is normal, who say, spirituality, Bhagavad Gita, bhi baad mein dekhenge, jab thode boode jayenge na, uske baad dekhenge. So what would you like to say, to that?
And that's what, when I went for the first day on the first yagna, my friend came along with me and he turned off. He didn't come the next day onwards. Then I realized maybe this path is not for everyone. But yes, you're right. There was a connect for me every time. And I always used to get pulled whenever I used to read the books, magazines, or whatever it is. So it happened very graciously.
Well, in fact, I think I've read also somewhere that Gurudev himself said that spirituality is not for the weak, but those who are strong. And I think the video that you've selected explains that. Why? What did he mean by that? So let's play that video number 3, and hear what Gurudev had to say.
Mukta Sangha, without attachment. Something like 82 times this word comes in the whole Gita. Without attachment, without attachment. That is why the very first time when the word came, I paused and elaborately explained. Attachment means I plus I want. Mukta Sangha, without this idea of I and I want, selfish desire, without these two. Samachara. And don't say that it's a voluntary work, Swamiji. I will somehow or other do it. Somehow or other do it. Then you get out. Samachara. Do it as perfectly as you can. Each day is a competition between yourself and your yesterday's performance to improve upon it. Because what you are doing is serving him. Samachara. Do it excellently. And don't say that it's a voluntary work, Swamiji. We go there sometimes. 3 days of the week I generally go there because they send me the transport. The day they don't send the transport, I don't go there. Why should I go? No, when you are doing a social work or a voluntary work, it must be done samachara. Do it in with excellence and perfection. Mukta Sangaha, without attachment, without the vanity of I or I want. Last time when I came here, the lady was saying that I am going now to the hospital and console the patients, etc. This is an organization that is doing it. I was congratulated her. This time, the first time I met her, the very first thing I asked, hey, are you still going to the hospital? No, Swamiji, I have given it up. I said, why did you give it up? Why did you give it up? Those organizations, they have got no sense of proportion. What is the matter? They are not sending me the jeep. And when I go there to the hospital, I work there 2-3 hours a day, and they don't give me even a cup of tea. That lady was shamelessly telling me. She has got vanity that the jeep did not come. Vanity. Everyone else they could, and they did not give me that. It is for the jeep that you are serving. Is it for a cup of coffee you are serving? If you are serving there for a cup of coffee, you are cheaper than the porter. That is not the spirit in which you serve. I want nothing. I expect nothing. I demand nothing. Only the pleasure of doing that right job in the right way. That is called worship.
It just reminds me, somebody waiting for the jeep to come, but in one of the Mananam books, the Centenary Mananam books, I saw a photograph of Gurudev when he just started out. So he didn't have much of an audience. He was a one-man show. And there's a black and white photograph over there. And the caption is reading, in the beginning days, Gurudev used to go on a bicycle with a loudspeaker saying, there's a Swami in town. That's him, he himself. There's a Swami in town. Swami Chinmaya, come and hear him, 6:30 p.m., such and such, when he's advertising himself. That's what he had to do in the beginning time. It's a good point. One final question, Vishnaji. One funny incident, because there were so many around Gurudev. One anecdotal incident that you recall of Gurudev. If I'll tell you what, before we move on to Shibani, because she's going to be our next speaker, request all of you to think of quick 1 minute funny incidents with Gurudev after him. Let's begin with Vishwanathji. Yeah.
Whenever we ask him something, the shrug that he would always give, the hilarious smile that he would give, that was something very interesting. I mean, all of us used to get mesmerized by the way he would conduct himself, the beauty, the grace that he had for anything and everything. And whenever we would ask him something, the smile that he would give or the staunch look that he would give will mesmerize us, asking him not to ask him any more questions. So that would make us feel intimidated, whatever it is.
All right. Kumkumji. I'm going around, so think of your one.
Yeah, I remember it was in Delhi, and my mother and myself, we'd helped in one of the yagyas. And she was from Kanpur, and Gurudev knew her quite well. And the last time he had visited Kanpur, apparently, whatever organization or something, they lost money. They actually did not really make any money in the yagya. So, of course, when Gurudev came and sort of was meeting all the volunteers, she asked him, she said, when are you coming to Kanpur, Gurudev? Swamiji, when are you coming? He looked at her, says, for Kanpur, I will have to come with a bag full of money.
This was in 1988. My sister was having the thread ceremony for her two boys at the Pawai in Bombay. And so Gurudev was there. And when all the ceremonies had finished and all that, we went up to the hall. And, this prasad comes, the fruit basket and all that. And everybody was crowding, children and he just took all the fruit and he started just throwing them to everyone. I found that so funny. I'll never forget that sight because the children got so excited. And I just found it very funny. I thought it was so different, not like he waited for them, he gave the fruit, then they bow down to him. He didn't wait for all that, he just threw it.
We're going to come to Shibani as the next speaker in a minute. So perhaps, Somji, if I can request you, maybe you can tell us one quick incident, and then we carry on with Shibani after that.
I was in Balvihar at that time, and Gurudev was sitting in somebody's house, and we were all taking turns to chant or sing or something. So my Balvihar Sevika was just sitting behind me. She was singing a song in Gujarati, and the line goes, I'll just sing a couple of lines there because that's important for this incident to be understood. પહેલો પિયાલો મારા ગુરુજીએ પાયો, બીજે પિયાલે રસની રેલી રે, ત્રીજો પિયાલો મારા રોમે રોમે વ્યાપ્યો, ચોથે પિયાલે થઈ છું ઘેલી રે. So this talks about the compassion and greatness of Guru and how Guru gives us the nectar of knowledge and devotion. And first pyala means first class, I got this, then second, third, so that was the thing. So after this was over and she finished singing, and she was right behind me, so like Gurudev's glance was like near me only, and he looked at her and said that all the politicians are going to be very angry with you. So everyone was like, somebody is singing about Guru's grace, and here Gurudev is saying, so nobody understood. So then after that he said, you said BJP.
Thank you. Shibani, let's begin with a funny one, then I'll do a quick intro of you.
Think I remember any funny ones because I was very little when I met Gurudev, but so I'll have to let this pass.
Okay, then let's talk about when you were little, because she met Gurudev or she was exposed to the mission as a Bal Vihar child. Then classes 11 and 12 at Chinmaya Vidyalaya in Jamshedpur. Then she was part of the Chinmaya Yuva Kendra. Then in the founding batch of YEP, the course. Then became a Brahmacharini in the Vedanta course in Powai. I mean, you really died in World Chinmaya Mission. Since 2017, serving the mission in academic, education and research wings, currently director of Chinmaya Vidyalaya, Vasant Vihar. So you met Gurudev as a Bal Vihar child.
Yeah, so I just, that director, manager, that's the role that I play at the Vidyalaya.
You're basically the boss, right?
Boss is Gurudev.
Okay.
Om Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. Hari Om to Swamiji and all devotees seated here. I did meet, I was fortunate. I think I was born into Chinmaya Mission. I would not call myself a Bal Vihar child. I would call myself a runaway Bal Vihar child. For those who know Jamshedpur or don't, it's a very small township, very safe. So Bal Vihar was an excuse. We were supposed, my brother and I were supposed to go to Bal Vihar, but we would walk and enter some friend's house, cycle down and enter some friend's house, and be alert enough to return home on time. So I was not really a Bal Vihar child. I would call myself a runaway Bal Vihar child. But yeah, I have been blessed because I think Puja Gurudev and the Guru Parampara thereafter have, sort of.
But you
weaved through
met
my
him
life.
as a child.
Yes, on multiple occasions.
occasions.
So I remember I used to.
He must have been very loving as he was to children.
Yes,
when
I will share. So I used to call him Geeta Swamiji because when I was little and I couldn't pronounce the full name of Swami Chinmayanandji or Puja Gurudev. So at home, whenever Gurudev was coming, it was a big celebration, obviously, in the small town that we were. And one of the first memories I have of Puja Gurudev coming home for for Bhiksha, and there was Pada Puja. So it was like the devotees then knew that my mother was not very familiar with what is to be done. So they came into the house and they cleared everything. They they almost took over the kitchen. So I was like, what's happening? And then this person comes and the saint sits and Pada Puja is done. We are all given the Charnamrit, and of course I drank it because it was given. So that was one of my first memories. Thereafter, I remember we were not allowed to the yagnas because we were little children and we would make a noise. In those ways, there was no facility to have bal vihar while parents were listening to the yagna. So my brother and I were taken for Puja Gurudev's blessings. And I owe all of this to my parents, especially my father, because he was the one who actually led us all to Gurudev and actively took part in making the school. So when we were taken for Puja Gurudev's blessings, I did take the opportunity to carry a book, the message that he wrote for me on this Bala Bhagavatam. Yeah, so I was 7 when I was taken for these blessings. He wrote with my name, "Be as cheerful all the time as our dear Lord Krishna, the blue boy of Vrindavan." This was in 82. And of course, I used to love his hugs because every time he met a child, he would hug us. And Geeta Swamiji, as I remember. Then the next time I met him was, I think, 1986, where he again blessed me and my brother, and he gave me a book, which was Bhagavad Gita for children. And he said, on that he's written, that's also here, that if you know the answers to all of Krishna's questions, Arjuna's questions, sorry, if you know the answers to all of Arjuna's questions, you know almost everything. At that point, I remember I refused, almost questioned my mother. I think I was 11 or 12 years old, on why I should touch his feet. So while we were driving to the guest house that Puja Gurudev was saying, so she said, ki pranam karna hai. So I said, Q. You know, I was a child who used to ask a lot of questions. So I said, Q karna hai. And my mother couldn't convince me. So yet when I reached there, and Gurudev saw my brother and me, and he says, "Ayyo, these are Khurana's children." So, so that was one, way of. He knew we were there because he'd met us before, but he was teasing as though my mother and us that you haven't come and met me in a long time. And there was something loving, as you said.
Did you touch his feet then?
I did. And I must say that he kept both his hands on my head. And I still feel them today.
I can't imagine a goody-goody like her refusing to touch his feet at the time.
So I still feel his hands on his blessings, and through various occasions. Puja Gurudev reminds me of the turtle. You know how the eggs of a turtle hatch? The turtle may lay the eggs and travel far away into the sea, but the mind of the turtle is always on the eggs, and they slowly hatch. And if required, the turtle always comes back to the eggs. And I've always felt like that. Jamshedpur is a small town, yet Puja Gurudev came to that township, I think every third, fourth year. I was fortunate. I had Bal Vihar. I went to the Vidyalaya, and it was the 13th Vidyalaya. Puja Guruji inaugurated that Vidyalaya, by the way. Then I went on to join the Yuva Veer course, as has been shared. So, I've found that at various points, Puja Gurudev's care has guided me, and he's kept an eye on us, on me, and of course, the entire family.
So how would you describe his impact on your life?
Well, if someone would ask me if I would say that Guru and God, as is said in the Dakshinamurti Stotram, for me, they're one. So for me, he was living God, and I feel his presence today also.
Talking about today, because you're manager of Chinmaya Vidyalaya here in Delhi, it's a challenging role. I'm aware of that. How do you feel that Gurudev and Vedanta and his teachings have helped you deal with challenges in your life and in your work?
Well, there is no challenge because he does everything. But I do have something, if
So
time
that's
to
how
think.
he's helped you face it.
Yes.
You
So the
don't see-
letters he actually wrote to my father, for even he just, the drawings of the school, or the letter, there is something in the Manifesting Divinity Maninam book, a letter that he wrote to my father talking of the orientation program for Vidyalaya teachers. So I just feel that he almost like prepared my father, and he prepared me for this role with the kind of letters that he'd written to my father, which we still have.
Yeah. Do you sometimes wonder that if Gurudev hadn't been there in your life, if Vedanta hadn't been there in your life, how would you, what would you have been, or how would you have perhaps, dealt with life, which would obviously have been different?
So very interestingly, Puja Guruji asked me that question once. What would your life be if you were not working in Chinmaya Mission? And he, of course, teased me a couple of things, associated to that. But my response was that, well, I'm terrified to think what my life would be without Chinmaya Mission. I'd be, doing something very, very ordinary, lost in this whole rat race. So I'm terrified to think of it also further.
The video that's been selected, which you have selected, which we'll just play for everybody now, is in fact Gurudev talking about how to face life's challenges. It's an excerpt from the Bhagavad Gita, so he's actually addressing Arjuna, who was facing that challenge at the time. So let's hear that. We'll come back and talk to you then.
The uninformed seeker feels that to give up the world and run into a monastery, escapism from the throes of life, they think is spirituality. Bhagavad Gita is dead against it. An individual who is vibrantly acting in the world outside as alone has a chance of ever reaching anywhere near the gates of the world. Not one who is suddenly running away from the world, especially when the situations are rather threatening. You understood that that is the right way, and you are walking the right way. No doubt in that you will not find a crowd following you. No, you will be lonely because that a path is very narrow. But those who are doing their obligatory duties, not worrying about the future, because the results of actions are to come in future. But I do my job as best as I can. My boss is here. It's not the local boss, that is only accidental. Tomorrow he'll be dismissed and another fellow will come there. And how long? That is called idol worship. The idols change. What does it matter? Who in me is representing? My Lord boss. I am seeing him. Between me and him, are we settled? Am I doing it as best as I know? Here is, O Lord, good or bad, this is all that I could do. I did at my best. That sort of an individual who is doing it, his mind and intellect is no more groveling at the lower level of flesh or sense objects. But at the same time, his mind is constantly riveted to the higher, who was renounced. Renounced meaning given up his mental preoccupation with the objects, not merely running away from the world. One who has thus done his duties. That's all. Wife, 4 children, or husband and children, and husband, a monster who just do your duties towards them as best as you can, not for his smile. Oh Lord, you kept me here. You made this organization or this family. Okay, I will look after. And with that attitude in yourself, I tell you, the whole character changes, the whole behavior changes. Such an individual is the one who is really a sannyasi. Sannyasi meaning sannyasam. All his ego is ended in his relationship in the world outside. And his ego is being now turned towards the surrender to the Lord. Surrender to the Lord is not the hands and legs to be surrendered, the ego to be surrendered. So that such an individual, not one who has ran away from all his religious and worldly duties, secular and sacred duties. It's not that man who is a one who has renounced, but who lives vibrantly in the society, fulfilling all his duties as best as you can, careless of what the result is going to come. In the faith and understanding that when I have with the best of intentions have done a good thing, nothing bad can come out of it. In that way, one who is living, Krishna says, he I consider is the true sannyasi, renouncer, a true yogi, a one who is turning his mind and tuning up to the highest, a true meditator.
Shivani, your best memory of this great master?
Well, he's just here. There is no memory. I just feel his presence. So,
The last time you saw him or met him?
I think the last time was 1988 when he visited Jamshedpur, and my father from the factory, he was with the Tatas, called my mother and said that just take the children to Gurudev because I think this is the last time he's coming to Jamshedpur. Obviously, there must something, and that must have been communicated to my mother. And Puja Gurudev just kept us in his lap, and I think that is my memory of him.
Okay. Shivani Khurana. Finally, Swami Abhayanandaji, Hari Om. Swamiji was also a Bal Vihar child from age 7. Later, he became a chick in Ahmedabad. He was a spiritual guide at the Chinmaya International Residential School near Coimbatore from 2002 to 2005. Then he joined the Brahmachari Vedanta course in Powai 2005 to 2007 under Puja Gurudev. He taught the basic Purohit course in Coimbatore 2016 to 2017. He served as Acharya in various Chinmaya mission centers, Ahmedabad, Gurugram, and Singapore. He taught the Brahmachari Vedanta course in Hindi in Siddhabadi, the last course, that is 2021 till last year. And now, of course, Swamiji, we are so happy to have him as Acharya of Chinmaya Mission Delhi. Swamiji, do you remember your first meeting with Gurudev?
Om Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. Yeah, very much. Every meeting I remember and very, very vividly. I must have been some 8 or 9. I started going to Bal Vihar when I was, I think, 7. And started very reluctantly, forced by my elder sister, but slowly started enjoying. When I was approximately 9-ish, that was the first time I was taken by my parents to the yajna. Maybe they couldn't leave me anywhere, so they just took me along. And both my parents were first row audience, as in they didn't like sitting at the back. So they both would go half an hour or sometimes 1 hour early and just make sure that they are on the first row. So obviously I was also seated on the first row only.
Front benches, we call
Front
them.
benches,
Yeah.
yes. And of course the stage was too high and far away, so it was not very close that way. But I could very clearly see Gurudev and listen to him. As a young child, I did not really understand what he was saying, but two things I remember of that first glimpse. One is, as everyone seated here has used the word mesmerized. So that experience happened to me also. The very first time I was just looking at him in just awe, and like there was nothing happening, processing as such. I was just looking at him, that's all. And for a young child to be seated there, and I am quite restless that way even now. So for a child to be sitting there silently in a Gita talk, when I look back and think about it, I feel that it was not possible. It was not me. It was his impact that happened, that made me do that. And second thing is, I may not have understood what he spoke, but somehow I remember the words he spoke, and they're still ringing in my ears. As a 9-year-old, the concept and all I remembered later on when I heard him much later on his videos, etc., and other talks. But the example that he used to give, many of us must have heard, I'm sure, uh, when he used to give examples of what he said was behind the sugar curtain is Cuba, behind this curtain is, behind the iron curtain is Russia, some different examples he gave. And then finally he said behind the thought curtain is Narayana. So I did not understand anything that he said, but I remember the words. So the importance is his words were so impactful. Even if we did not understand, it went in and it
At the
stayed.
age of 9,
At the age of 9.
you were destined to be a Swami.
I do not know. I remember the words. I did not understand anything. That was for sure. Like Kunku Amma said, I understood that I did not understand. That was definitely true. But I remember the words. I remember certain examples. His way of narration, his way of dramatizing things and all used to be so impactful. And that is my first memory. And it is still very, very fresh. Like I just have to close my eyes and I can see that whole thing. Like I was seated here and he was just right there, and I can still see it vividly.
And then when you were 13 years old, on your 13th birthday, in fact, he gave you a special present, if we can call it that.
Yeah,
Actually was. Yeah.
It was my 13th birthday. It happened to be my 13th birthday, and Gurudev had come to Ahmedabad just for one day, and that was the day of my 13th birthday. So it was like, and that time I don't think I was very excited about the birthday part, but I was very excited that Gurudev is here, and I did not lose even one opportunity. In fact, I remember I did not go home that whole day and night, and next morning Gurudev was leaving, so I did not go home. Like I stayed at the ashram. I was all the time morning Gurudev's timings we would know, so I was there. Then when he went to rest, I came back, rested in the ashram, went back. So I was that full day I spent in his presence. And I think it was afternoon, maybe 4:30. Gurudev was out in the lawns and out, and he was just sitting with all the devotees. It was winter, and so it was quite pleasant. And my father came, and he had brought some fruits and some dakshina and all. He gave it to me and said, "It's your birthday, so go do namaskar." And I was like, I just was so happy, and I was sitting right at his feet. Like he was sitting there and I was just at his feet. And my father from behind was nudging me, prodding me, go, no, do namaskar and tell Gurudev it is your birthday. Tell Gurudev, take his blessings, that typical father. And I'm eternally grateful to my father for doing that. And that time also I was not bothered about all that. It did not feel like he was forcing me into something, because I was so happy with this side that this side did not matter. What was happening from behind did not matter. I was so happy. So I gave it to Gurudev, and he was seated, and he was like, seated with his back on the chair, and I gave it to him, and very meekly, very softly, I said, "It's my birthday today." And then Gurudev obviously could not hear, so then he came forward. "What?" So then I said, "Swamiji, it's my birthday today." So I was loud, and my father is still going on. No, so loud. So I said, "It's my birthday today." And after that, he said something. But before I say what he said, I would like to, for us to watch the video, and then what he said will have a greater impact. So can we play the video?
Body is born. When the wave is born, the ocean is not born. The wave rose in the ocean. In Brahman, the reality, the infinite consciousness, the body is born. The body that rose in me, it disappeared. So what? The body is also nothing but grossification of consciousness. A disturbance in consciousness is the entire universe. Neither is it blind, nor does it die. Having thus once existed in that form, it never becomes extinct. It is ever there. This is called in the Upanishads Aja, unborn. When was God born? Who was his father? The doubt will always come. And it is valid doubt. Because the intellect can think only in terms of time. So when you say that God was and everything was born, the next question your own child will ask. It is natural for the human intellect to think, because human intellect can think only in terms of time. If thus the God created the whole world, Papa, who was God's Papa? Even a baby will ask. Not the grown-up people, even baby. So if your mind goes in that direction, it is right. Grandpa, you have been taking me to all the marriages. Why is it that you never took me to your marriage? What can the grandfather say? Ask grandmummy. I think she told me don't bring her. You can only shove the problem to another's shoulders, because the boy will not understand. That the grandfather married the grandmother, as a result of it came the father. The father married again, repeated the mistake, and therefore you came, my sonny. When in the consciousness, the first thought came 0 time. Then I repeated the mistake, the second thought. Then came the grandson. What is it? Time. And with the time, yes, everything that is happening from third thought onwards, I can measure it with time. What is the first thought? 0 time. And unka baap hai Paramatma. Paramatma, when? When was your God born? God born. These are all the thoughtless arguments. Born God will have to die. Antavanda ime deha. Born God must die. And the God who died, poor man. I mean, he was nice. I am very devoted. But now died. What can you do? Can't help it. Born, God born. God is historical. Silly. If it is God that you are representing, we will have to say that he is unborn, eternal. He may manifest. That's a different thing. Thereby to say that it is not historical and therefore it is a myth. Honest gods will have to be myth. Because conditioned by thought. By my time, it has to perish. Since it is imperishable, either you have to say unborn, and the average man cannot understand unborn, therefore we make him born and show him. Dekha, the God removed. See, Krishna born and did all this mischief and then he died. Boom. He manifested Avirbhava and Tirobhava. God manifested. Now when he looked out, it's my God. That is the only way to communicate it to others.
So after hearing that we are unborn, Swamiji, we were talking about your birthday.
Yes. So when I told Gurudev, it's my birthday today, he was already halfway in front. He came just forward, and those piercing look just looked into my eyes. 13-year-old child looking like that. And in the same tone and that energy that we just saw, "You're unborn! What birthday?" What birthday? So now just like everyone burst out laughing, everyone behind me laughed. And I also looked around and said, maybe it's some joke which I did not get. So I also laughed along, did not understand what he wanted to say. And much later, Actually, my sister reminded me, you remember Gurudev told you that? I said, oh, that's so true. He had told me that. So this Ajah, that first time, my birthday present, which made all my birthdays that followed very, very special, is you're unborn. And those words still ring in my ears. I would also want to take a minute to extend this further, fast forward to many, many years. Uh, when I was given Diksha in 2018, um, I was given the name Swami Avyayananda. So somebody remarked, they said, you have got the second name of Gurudev. Gurudev's 108 names. The first name is Om Ajaya Namaha, second name is Om Avyayaya Namaha. And they said, you got the second name. But as far as people, all the sannyasis are concerned, you will remain the first because nobody is going to get Ajananda name. So you are the first. Somebody just remarked. That time nothing happened. But a little later, it just came back that the first name was already given to me by Gurudev himself. Because so that was, I consider that was my first Diksha. And then this happened much later. So it has been this kind of grace and this most special experience. I would not expect any saint to say something like this to a 13-year-old. So I really feel very, very special when I remember this. And it is always, like, as I said, every memory of meeting him is very, very vivid.
Swamiji, I believe, in fact, you've had so many special incidents with Gurudev. There was one where the chanting of the Medha Suktam. Then, in fact, in this last year, you went to him in Siddhabadi after the Upanayanam ceremony. Something special happened there also. Perhaps you can just recount those
I'll
also.
very quickly do that. When I was in Balvihar, we used to have these chanting competitions. So just before Gurudev's visit, there was a Medha Suktam chanting competition. And I had won the second prize that year. So obviously Gurudev was sitting there and all of us were there. I think Balvihar, I was just one and one more child was there. All others were older to me. So somebody introduced and said, he recently won the prize in the Medha Suktam chanting competition. So Gurudev was having something, some porridge or something, I don't remember. And suddenly he put it down and said, chant. I never expected he's going to ask me to chant. And the competition had happened few months ago. So, but luckily I was, I continued to chant after that also. So I remembered. So I just closed my eyes and I just went on, chanted. And once it was done, and then I just opened my eyes. And Gurudev was like, very good. So, so then the brahmachari there, they informed Gurudev that Swamiji, he won the second prize. So again, he gave so much of attention, made it so special. It's like, one of his names is Utsaha Vardhakaya Namaha, encouraging so much. So he said, this is second prize. It's so good. Then what about first? Still better. Saying that, that small thing, but encouraging so much that it was some little chanting. But then for him, that moment, he made it so special. That was one more. And soon after the Upanayanam, it is said that according to our culture, the samskaras, the sacred thread ceremony happens just before going to the guru's place. You go to the Gurukul, and the first thing before Gurukul is the Upanayanam ceremony. So it so happened, now I don't feel that is serendipity. I feel he had planned it that way. That soon after my Upanayanam, I went to Puja Gurudev's camp. So, and it was in Siddhabadi. So I went to Siddhabadi, his abode. So it was like actually going to the Gurukul after Upanayanam. So it was so very beautiful. And when I went there, then my mother had prepared me everything. My mother did not come along. Only my sister and I had gone. So prepared everything. She told my sister, because she didn't have so much faith in me that I'll do everything. So she told my sister that you know write and give to Gurudev, and then because he'll be so busy and it will be a big camp. And it was a very, very big camp. It was May 1993. We had 700 youngsters. It was a youth camp, and it was amazing energy. And Gurudev, my mother had said that you offer dakshina and some fruits and all to Gurudev, and also gave a letter and all these things. So offered, and my sister took me there and said, do pranams, all these things, all that done. And then after that, after a couple of days, Gurudev called me. After breakfast, he used to sit in the Siddhavadi Kutia on the swing. The swing is still there. So he used to sit on the swing, and all of us would be sitting there. It was always crowded. So I never got a place inside, never. But that day I was called. So then VIP. So I got some place, and then I went there in front, right in front, and then Gurudev was sitting there, and then everything was ready. So there was a letter, and then there was some prasad, and then he called me, and then he gave it to me. And then in the letter, he told my sister that, I have given some instructions, so you should do, and you should chant Gayatri Mantra regularly. So I said, okay. And then after that, when we opened the letter, it was very clearly written, you should chant Gayatri Mantra so many times every day. And instruction to my sister that read out the chapter on Japa from Kindle Life, no, from Meditation and Life, chapter on Japa to him, and make him understand, because he may not understand, to make him all these instructions about discipline. So when a guru accepts someone as a disciple, then there is some discipline that is given. So that acceptance was how I look at that meeting, that he kind of accepted, because without the guru's acceptance we cannot be disciples. And he actually gave all the disciplines to be followed. And grateful to again my parents that they made sure that I followed whatever was instructed. My sister not only once but twice read out the chapter and explained to me at 2 different times, and then made me also read independently later. So it was a very, very special occasion for me. Just one more thing I'll just narrate, and that we can close after that. Is everyone has talked about his not being different from Bhagwan, and his in all his videos also we have seen about he's talking about Narayana, and how Narayana has these qualities, all these greatness of Narayana, he used to say. We have seen this all. I'm sure many of us must have seen this in Siddhavadi, in that very camp. Evening, after his evening class, he used to come and sit outside between the place where the Kutia and Hanumanji is there, and Kamala Hall earlier was there. In between that space, he used to sit there, and all of us used to just gather around and sit there. That was a time of just staring. Like there was nothing, no conversation, nothing, and he would say something. Like sometimes the project nurses used to come, so he would ask them to sing, or sometimes someone else, they will ask them to chant or sing or something, and we are just sitting silently in his presence. So every day there was one stotram. I tried to find it, I have not found it yet. I tried searching books, Google, everything. I've not been able to find, because I don't remember any other word except the word Narayana in that. And Gurudev used to love that, and he would make that person chant every day. He was a person from, I think, Andhra or Karnataka, somewhere he had come, and he would say, you chant that every single evening. He would chant, and it would go as Narayana 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 Narayana. So this used to go, and then there would be a verse, and then this refrain, again verse. So this was it. That I sang it just to get the feeling back again. So those moments when that Narayana Narayana was going on, Gurudev would close his eyes, and like we know that he is not at our plane. He's like in some sublime state, in a totally different realm. And that is why in his 108 names, Puja Guruji has also written one of the names, Om Narayana Namaha. Indeed, he is Narayan. No doubt about that.
Thank you so much, Swamiji. We've gone a little bit over time, but I suppose talking about Gurudev, we should go over time. But we had promised that maybe if there won't take too many, but if there are one or two questions, if anybody has for any of the devotees here, then we can just ask them and take them very quickly. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah. Is there a mic?
Hari Om to each and every one of you here, and my salutations to Puja Gurudev. I have a very tremendous inner joy of sharing myself, how I came in contact with Puja Gurudev. So I just want to share my life, how Gurudev came in my life also. I came to know about Puja Gurudev this year when I was in so much problem of my life, and I walked on the path told by Puja Gurudev every day and every minute of my life. He told that if you disattach yourself from everything like your family, the attachments of objects, then you can attain that Brahman that is inside you. And I was reading this news bulletin of Chinmaya Mission New Delhi, in which he has written, never allow yourself to feel satisfied by recognizing the glories in somebody's life. When you admire the compassion of Buddha, the gorgeous joys of Krishna, the dignified sufferings of Rama, or the dynamic philosophy of Shankara, never sit back only to gaze at them and in futile wonderment merely come to believe in them. Feel the urge to cultivate such a noble and divine personality in yourselves. So, Gurudev was saying that you must feel the urge to cultivate such a divine and noble personality in yourself. Now, if Puja Gurudev was been here, I would have asked him, how can I complete this urge to cultivate such a noble and divine personality which is in us? Because the elite panel is here who is very close to Gurudev.
Maybe Swamiji would be best placed to give you a quick answer to that.
Very quickly speaking, I would say the path laid down by Gurudev, study and serve. So, study and service is the best way to inculcate all these virtues and live what we find in the great masters.
Okay. So if there's maybe one more, because then we close off that. Is there one question anybody might have? No?
No.
Okay. Then I think we can close then.
There is a okay. I would like to tell everyone we are closing. This is the last part. There's a very special song that has been written, composed, and sung by one of our Yuva Kendra members, Sriram Iyer, who is now living in Australia. And very recently, he's written this only, especially for this 108th year. And I think it has come out very well. I must have heard it at least 10 to 20 times so far. And it just came today. It was shared just today. So it's a very, very beautiful song, and the accompanying visuals are also very beautiful. So we'll watch this. After that, we will perform Gurudev's Aarti, and we'll conclude.
सुनावे के हर एक युग गाई। गुरुदेव हमारी रग रग में, गुरुदेव हमारे तन मन में, गुरुदेव के हम तो चरणों में, गुरुदेव हमारी रग रग में, गुरुदेव हमारे तन मन में, गुरुदेव के हम तो चरणों में, हिमालय की गुफाएं, गंगा मैया की वो राहें, सिद्ध बारी की बौछारें, सब उनको पुकारे। हिमालय की गुफाएं, गंगा मैया की वो राहें, सिद्ध बारी की बौछारें, सब उनको पुकारे। गुरुदेव हमारी रग रग में, गुरुदेव हमारे तन मन में, गुरुदेव के हम तो चरणों में, गुरुदेव हमारी रग रग में, गुरुदेव हमारे तन मन में, गुरुदेव के हम तो चरणों में, ब्रह्मविद्या के प्रचारक वो गुरु है, हम है साधक, हर एक घर में हर एक दिल में, वो राह में मंजिल में। ब्रह्म विद्या के प्रचारक वो गुरु है, हम है साधक, हर एक घर में हर एक दिल में, वो राह में मंजिल में। गुरुदेव हमारी रग रग में, गुरुदेव हमारे तन मन में, गुरुदेव के हम तो चरणों में, गुरुदेव हमारी रग रग में, गुरुदेव हमारे तन मन में, गुरुदेव के हम तो चरणों में, क्या है सत्य क्या है मिथ्या, ना अविद्या जब हो विद्या, उनसे हमने क्या न पाया, ऐसा हमको सिखाया। क्या है सत्य क्या है मिथ्या, ना अविद्या जब हो विद्या, उनसे हमने क्या न पाया, ऐसा हमको सिखाया। गुरुदेव हमारी रग रग में, गुरुदेव हमारे तन मन में, गुरुदेव के हम तो चरणों में, गुरुदेव हमारी रग रग में, गुरुदेव हमारे तन मन में, गुरुदेव के हम तो चरणों 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 में, गुरुदेव।
सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की, दिव्य रूप मूर्ति करुणा की। आरती सद्गुरु की। चरणों में उनके शांति समाए, शरणागत की भ्रांति मिटाए। पाप ताप संताप हरण की। आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की। आरती सद्गुरु की। वेद उपनिषद गीता को गाया, धर्म सनातन फिर से जगाया। शुद्ध नीति प्रीति शंकर की। आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की। आरती सद्गुरु की। सिद्ध बाणी की तपोभूमि में, नित्य विराजे गुरु हमारे। भक्त हृदय आनंद स्रोत की। आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की। आरती सद्गुरु की। आरती सद्गुरु की। बोलिए श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि। नारायणायेति समर्पयामि। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ। Hari Om. Two things. One, tomorrow at 10 a.m. Today was Chinmaya Smaranam. Tomorrow 10 a.m. Chinmaya Chintanam. So we're going to have some programs by the Balvihar children, the Yuva Kendra chicks, and the Balvihar parents. And we request everyone to be here and also inform and invite as many people as possible. Chinmaya Chintanam. So, reveling in his thoughts. And now, after this puja, so please proceed for dinner.